Hello everyone, this is my next story that I want to read to you, and if you haven't seen them, go back and have a look. I've done We're Going on a Bear Hunt and one by Kesgray as well, and there's more coming. So this is Paddington's pop-up book, and this is a very old book. My husband may say not very old, but it was given to him and he had it signed by Michael Bond, who wrote it, so it's a very special, precious book. And in certain places the pop-ups don't work quite as they should because it is 40-ish years old. Mr. and Mrs. Brown first met Paddington on a railway platform. In fact, that was how he came to have such an unusual name for a bear, because Paddington was the name of the station. You can see it on the sign there. They were just waiting to meet their daughter Judy, who was coming home from school, for the school holidays, when Mr. Brown caught sight of him, sitting on an old suitcase behind a pile of luggage near the Lost Property Office. Let's see. And as you move the book, he docks his hat, look. As they drew near, the bear stood up and politely raised his hat. "Good afternoon," he said. "Can I help you?" Mr. and Mrs. Brown didn't know quite what to say at first, but then they caught sight of a label around his neck with the words, "Please look after this bear, thank you," written on it. "You're a very small bear," said Mrs. Brown. "Where are you from?" "Darkest Peru," said the bear, making sure no one else could overhear. "I'm not really supposed to be here at all. I'm a stowaway." Bending down, he unlocked the suitcase with a small key and then stood up holding an almost empty jar. "I lived in a lifeboat," he announced, "and I ate marmalade. Bears like marmalade." Mr. and Mrs. Brown looked at each other. "I think," said Mrs. Brown, "you had better come and stay with us, Paddington." Oh, and this, dare I do it, makes him wobble a little bit. Let me see. Here we go. You can see them in the cafe now. And Paddington, I think he's drunk too much tea and he's wobbled over now. Just, oh, no, he doesn't want to. Feeling very proud of his new name, Paddington followed Mr. Brown into the refreshment room, while Mrs. Brown looked for Judy. Almost at once things started to go wrong. He climbed onto the table, stepped in a cup of tea by mistake, and ended up covered with jam and cream. Mr. Brown gazed out of the window, trying to look as if he had tea with bear on Paddington Station every day of his life, and this was just normal. When Mrs. Brown arrived on the scene, she took one look at the mess and quickly whisked Paddington home in a taxi. The driver didn't look too pleased either when he caught sight of the state Paddington was in. "Bears is 6pence extra," he said. "Sticky bears is 9pence. Oh dear, he was definitely a very sticky bear. As soon as Paddington got indoors, he was sent upstairs for a bath. Although he didn't like to say so, he'd never been inside a bathroom before, and he spent so much time trying to write his new name on the mirror with Mr. Brown's toothpaste, he quite forgot to turn the taps off. By the time he climbed into the bath, it was full of soapy bubbles. Scott can't talk. And he could hardly stand up. His cries for help brought Judy and her brother Jonathan running to the rescue. "Why ever didn't you pull the plug out?" asked Judy. "Oh dear," said Paddington. "I didn't think of that." Let's see. Pull him out. Almost the first thing Paddington did after he settled down at number 32 Windsor Gardens was to go shopping for some pyjamas. Mrs. Brown, and Judy took him to a big London store called Barkridge's. Because it was too far to walk, they went on the Underground railway station. But Paddington soon found it's one thing going on an underground railway when you know where you are going. It's quite another matter when you don't. In his excitement, he got lost and found himself trying to go up a moving staircase, which was marked down only. Now this one doesn't work so well. This one's a very old one. It gets a bit of a wobble on, look. Once inside Barkridge's, Paddington lost no time in choosing which pyjamas he wanted. They had a large pattern of flowers all over them. "If I wear these," he announced, "I shall never ever get lost again." But in fact he did. For when he went to try them on in the changing room, he took the wrong turning and ended up in the shop window by mistake. He was so surprised he knocked over a whole pile of pots and pans, much to the amusement of the crowd on the pavement outside. Let me see more. Well, we've got this one. He changes. You see, there he is with the pots and pans. And there he is in his pyjamas. A changing room window. Now this poor one's in a very sorry state, I'm afraid to say, so I shall show you it and then go. Paddington expected to be in trouble over his accident in Barkridge's shop window, but so many people wanted to buy flowered pyjamas just like the ones he'd been wearing. Barkridge's sold out of them in no time at all. They were so pleased they made him a present of some Wellington boots. When he went to bed that night, Paddington made yet another discovery. It's much easier putting Wellington boots on than it is taking them off again. And that's definitely true when we come back from outdoor learning, isn't it? All the same, Paddington decided he was going to like living with the Brown family. Never in his wildest dreams had he pictured ending up surrounded by so many nice things in a room he could call his very own. In the end, he gave up trying to take his boots off, and instead he climbed into bed and tried to picture all of the exciting things that had happened to him since he'd first arrived in England. But so much had happened, and he was so worn out by all of his adventures, his eyelids got heavier and heavier, and he was soon fast asleep, dreaming of even nicer things to come. He was a tired little bear. There he is. And if you're watching and listening to this and you're about to go to bed, you might be a very tired little bear, in which case, sleep tight.